However, I would need I would need a share screen,
Yes, of course.
right?
Hello.
And till Helena gives me the right, I can tell all of you that I'm very happy that I'm back. Maybe some of you didn't even know that I was not in. I was a bit out. I joined UNICEF and the UNICEF team that deals with school connectivity. Somebody entered.
Yeah,
And,
Bianca. We have a Bianca who wants to. Is she one of ours? I sometimes have visitors who are from other organizations.
oh, I don't know.
Okay.
You will find out.
I think Bianca is part of us.
Okay, great.
Oh,
Welcome, Bianca.
So 6 months ago, I joined UNICEF, and what we are dealing with is we are connecting schools to the internet around the world by 2030, which also means that I am quite heavily involved in the digital connectivity, digital infrastructure, but also the AI application of mapping schools worldwide, and how to use machine learning, for example, to spot schools in the jungle, in the desert, in areas which are not on the map of a government. So from that perspective, yeah, I will try to provide a bit of a background on the evolution of AI, the policy framework, and then getting into the classroom level and some applications that may be interesting, useful for some of you, for all of you, and that is going to be the line of my presentation. So let's where is it? Yeah, this is it. Okay, can you see my screen? Okay, let me just push you to the other side so that I can also see it. Okay, so we are going to talk about artificial intelligence with the perspective of its use in education. As said, I will talk a bit about the policy background, which are the key global players, what are the possibilities of use of AI in education from the perspective of inclusion and equity. We'll talk about the teachers' current attitudes, which resembles what you just shared with us just a few minutes ago. And then we'll look through some of the AI apps of the past 3 years and some of the AI apps from the past 3 weeks. And then we just draw some conclusions. It's still in the wrong place. Okay. So, so artificial intelligence, I'm sure that you know it's a human intelligence-based machine learning system. It's a computer system. It is able to learn, so acquire information, apply rules, to reason based on a set of rules, and to get to a certain conclusion. I'm saying certain because one of you also mentioned bias and prejudice, and so we'll talk about that a bit later. And it is also capable for self-correction. So it's a learning system. The more we are using it, the more accurate information or conclusion it can get to. It has various ranges or areas of use. Machine learning is one, how we are, for example, teaching an algorithm to recognize kids walking in line in the forest that most probably they're going to school. So we can actually teach the system to recognize certain patterns and then to draw a conclusion. The natural language processing models are like the ChatGPT, computer vision, and robotics that also Gabor is dealing with. As also mentioned, it is, AI is capable for recognizing patterns. Of course, you have to teach them first and input data. It can understand language and make decisions and translate languages. Of course, these are all also need revisions and double checking. And of course, you need to think about the perspective of ethics or in all of these aspects. In education, when we talk about AI, we talk about certain ways of learning and attach to them different tools and apps that can support those functions. In general, AI is capable to provide personalized learning. So it can adapt to the needs of individual learners. It is important for us from the perspective of inclusion. It can also provide an intelligent tutoring system, which means that it provides feedback to children, to students, which is also interesting because the way learning is now getting transformed, the way students are receiving and absorbing information becomes more interactive, more action-based. And an AI system can help students to receive information, learning materials, and to absorb and understand learning materials in an interaction with the system, with the AI system. It can also use as a predictive analytical tool, which is important because teachers can receive real-time data on the progress of their students. So they can predict which are the students that may lag behind and would need further or additional attention and support. And of course, as Gabor also said, it hugely simplifies administration and the different administrative functions. Yeah, I mean, the aspect of grading is a huge and assessment it's a huge area. I would not want to get into this. But in terms of giving feedback, for example, to students or to parents, writing the emails, or just analyzing or providing feedback to essays submitted by students, it's very efficient. Let's see. So yes, AI has lots of benefits, of course, lots of risks and challenges. Of course, as Tamás mentioned today, the students need to be prepared and trained how to use AI and how to use AI ethically. And how to use AI so that it actually increases their learning and their reasoning and the critical thinking and some other aspects of their capacities and skills. It also, yeah, we tackle some of these issues. Maybe the most important thing here is that yeah, about are the challenges. There are part of the teachers whom we are meeting, and you are also included. They are very positive and very optimistic about the use of AI in their everyday work. And parallel, there are teachers and there are educators who are also expressing their concerns about security and data privacy and the way how it transforms the learning attitudes of students. It is also a question of equity and access if we just look at it from the perspective of technology. Those children who have no access to meaningful internet and technology, they will be really become excluded from this opportunity, which may be even a positive aspect of using AI, according to some people. And one major concern and a huge challenge is the professional development of teachers and school principals and policymakers. But if we just concentrate on the classroom level, teachers need support on the use of AI in their everyday work and about how to lead this process, because they need to be leading this the process of learning or applying AI in their work. Before getting more into practicalities, let's just look at the policy background. It's and how AI's evolution happened in the past few decades, not too many decades. It's really it's a revolution, as you can see. So it actually just started in the 2010s, really, with the theory of whether it is actually possible for these learning systems to develop. And then it emerged, and some of the pilots started in the mid 2010s. Countries and companies started to use AI and the issues of data privacy, ethics, bias, and access to digital infrastructure. So the equity issue emerged very strongly. And then actually we are just in that period, is the integration and standardization period, when AI became or just becoming an integral part of our everyday work. And policies are emerging globally at the national level, at the supranational levels, and standards and implementation guidelines are emerging. So it's I would say, I mean, I disagree with this list, because I think we are still in this phase when we are just trying to regulate or just understand the need for regulation of the application of the use of AI. Point number 5 talks about optimization and transformation. We just don't know where AI is going to take us. As Helen said, that at the moment there is still need for humans to take the kids to school or to take the trash out. Maybe next year, I'm saying next year, there will not be a need for that, because the speed of transformation is enormous. We really don't know what is going to happen next year. You know that I like the policy level discussions and how policy gets translated into practice. So I always look at the big picture. Who are the key players in experimenting, regulating, and researching AI? And of course, UNESCO is leading the way with OECD, the World Bank, ITU, which is the International Telecommunication Union. This is one of the agencies I am working with besides UNICEF. They are doing the work with the governments to help them produce policies that regulate, in general, digitalization, and within that, the use of AI. And then there's UNICEF or the World Economic Forum. They also set up a working group or a center, and there are a variety of edtech companies which are really pioneering and piloting different AI engineered applications and products, learning products. Khan Academy and Duolingo are the two edtech companies that are at the moment in the US prototyping a fully AI-based learning model, which would be hopefully available in Europe also very, very soon, which really adapts to the interest and speed of learning of the students. So Khan Academy is doing it with in mathematics learning. Duolingo is also, of course, in language acquisition, and it's fascinating how really they actually building a tutor, a teaching assistant for the kids, and both systems are paying attention whether the kid is losing attention or the focus, and then they help refocus the child with some other examples. Hopefully we'll see that here also. This is just one research which I wanted to mention because all of you mentioned this in the introduction. This is a very recent one by UNESCO, just came out on May 23rd, which also came to the same conclusion as what you said, that school leaders, educators, they just don't receive support or guidance on the use of AI in education. So now there is an official report and study on it. Hopefully something is going to happen in with regards to solutions or guidelines or programs that would be made available for professors, for teachers. And yes, all the other aspects that you also mentioned, the equity and aspects in digital education, the ethical challenges, and of course, there was a huge section just on ChatGPT, the use of ChatGPT in teaching and in general in the learning business. And now let's just talk about a bit about our specific area, which is equity and inclusion. As already I mentioned to you, AI is capable to provide personalized learning, to provide support through interactive tutoring, and it can also do some predictions based on AI algorithms and data sets, which helps teachers foresee the learning curve of the individual students. From the perspective of inclusion, and we are dealing with inclusion in our everyday work, AI can promote inclusion, can support inclusion by assisting students with disabilities. And yeah, Sharon and her team knows exactly how assistive technologies can also support inclusion in the classroom for some certain students. It allows adaptive learning through interactivity. However, the tools, there are so many tools, AI tools that are available, and teachers are just not really receiving the necessary support, that we still not yet see that in the classrooms, the use of these AI tools. Okay, so yes, we talked all about these benefits of artificial intelligence or the different tools in the classroom. It allows personalized learning. It can increase the efficiency of teachers, especially in tasks that can be automated. It can provide a real-time feedback on the students' learning and performance. It can increase the accessibility of learning resources for students with some disabilities. It is accessible throughout the day. It can provide interactive learning experience. And it also removes the language barriers, which means that if I want to write something in English and I am Hungarian, it translates it right away from Hungarian to English and vice versa. And Hungarian is not the most common language in the world. Some of the apps which are based on AI are listed here. These are the apps that I'm sure that you have been using, or at least some of them in the past years. Kahoot, I'm sure we are also using some of Duolingo's programs, Quizlet, Grammarly. These are all tools that I'm sure that you are familiar with. and there are, and this is just, you know, the number of new AI apps that are coming up weekly. And these are, okay, not from the past 3 weeks, but there are like 1,000 per week, which are new. And some of them are not really good quality, completely useless. I tried many of these, but some of them are really interesting and just makes learning more exciting and more engaging. And in conclusion, I would like to say that AI and in general, the digital technologies and learning technologies revolutionize learning. We can't skip it. There's no way out. It is affecting our lives. Even though I am not teaching, it affects my life, and it affects students' lives. It affects my kids' lives. Yesterday, my 11-year-old came to me that he has to write a PowerPoint presentation of a book that he read. And of course, he hasn't read the book that he was supposed to read. So, and the deadline is tomorrow. So he said, can ChatGPT help? I said, well, let's try. So just put in ChatGPT, can you put a summary? Can you make a summary of this book? I wrote it in English, and he did it. I read it in English. It was more or less accurate. But you know, the language was very my language, very academic, very formal. So then I asked ChatGPT, okay, can you just write this on the languages of an 11-year-old kid? So immediately just transformed it rewrote it into boy's language. And then I asked ChatGPT to translate it into Hungarian. And then it did it right away. Perfectly, really perfectly. And then I told my kid, okay, this is now the summary. Now you go and do the PPT out of it, the PowerPoint. And of course, I didn't tell him that there is a PowerPoint app that also can produce from a text brilliant PowerPoint presentations. I just wanted him to do some work too. So there are possibilities, but of course, it makes him lazy and over-reliant on the system. And at the beginning, when we started to use it a few weeks ago, Arthur, my 11-year-old kid, told me that, Mommy, this is cheating. I'm cheating if I'm using ChatGPT. And I said, well, maybe it's not cheating. Maybe the time that you will have left by using ChatGPT, you can spend it on reading another book or doing your homework or something creative, play your guitar. It's not cheating. It's a different way of learning. It's a different way of using your time. And then the remaining time, then you can spend on something else. Of course, up to you. I also would like to emphasize that the use of AI applications and tools needs to be human-centered and human-led, which means that teacher or educator-led. So we need to be in the driver's seat because we need to know what's ethical, what reflects the real values of our world. Children are not yet there, so we need to provide them guidance. And this is our responsibility to educate ourselves in the use of different AI tools and to monitor the use of the different AI tools among our children and among our students. And we have to keep that in mind that this is just the very beginning. ChatGPT came out in November last year, 6 months ago. We just don't know what's going to happen in the fall or next spring. It is just changing the whole education system and the whole world. It's just now we are focusing on education, but it does affect directly every single aspect of our lives. So if somebody wants to escape and ignore the use of AI, is not possible anymore. So that's why I would recommend just to keep up with the developments with a very objective and critical view, but looking at the possibilities also. And in the remaining section, I'm not going to go through all of this, but this presentation is going to be shared with you because I collected some of the AI tools that it might be interesting for you to use in your everyday life. And there are so many. And of course, ChatGPT is the first one. And all of these are structured in a way that it describes how it works, what are the pricing and the other terms. Usually these apps are free, or they have a freemium term, which means that you have a certain amount of free products per month or per use that you can use, and all the other, for the rest, you would have to pay. It's just Perplexity, ask a question or request anything, and it provides you a response. There are video editors, drawing tools, preparing slide decks. There's a variety of, actually, this is a very nice tool for teachers to create content for the classroom. This can create you quizzes based on a given text, and you define the level of knowledge or the language or the age level of the audience. It can also provide summary of YouTube videos, or you can search YouTube videos. This is another one on slides that it prepares you fantastic slides. Speechify is when you have a text or you want to read something on the way, it just converts the text into speech. So on your way while walking or driving your car, you can listen to the 20-page readings that you are supposed to read for the next 2 hours. DALL-E is also one of my favorites. It's a system that generates images from natural language, so which means that you write something and it creates an image of it. This is an app that provides feedback to students or to parents. And there are so many others. So I just included one link which can lead to 30 other AI tools in the classroom, which are really, really practical tools. And since we are a European Union project, this is an Erasmus project, we also always have to keep in mind the European Commission's perspectives and guidelines. And this European Commission educator guideline on the use of AI in education has just recently came out. For those of you who would like to read a bit more on the European policy background, you can just find it there. And another ethical guide for curriculum development, especially for middle school students, also came out. Well, this is not too recent, actually. Now I can just see that. So I just disregard that, actually. And then that's it. Actually, I could talk about this forever, but I think many of you know all of this. I just wanted to give you the big picture, and then the individual applications we can discuss later.
Thank you very much, Vivien. James has left us, but he has texted me a lot of stuff, and I can see Bianca has also put some stuff in the meeting chat. So I'm going to put a link to a document that we're going to use for these webinars, where I've put some discussion questions in and what James has said. And this became a very, very long document. So we'll have to see this as content generating material that everybody can use afterwards. There's no way we can use 10 minutes now to, oh, sorry, we have 40 minutes left. So we can have quite a discussion. Bianca says, whilst I appreciate AI use in education, one of the biggest problems I see among students within the Maltese education system is creative thinking. Wouldn't these tools affect this further if they can easily be used for assignments? Vivien, what's your spontaneous reaction to this before we let everybody else in?
Well, I just saw a fantastic lesson plan or an exercise by a teacher. And I think it was all about how the seasons are changing, and the students had to collect information on the change of the seasons and how it affects the plants. And then to produce a video showing what they learned using AI apps. And so it was very interesting to see that what the students put together. And, you know, if you could not understand the information that was provided on the cycle of the seasons, you would have not been able to produce a video with whatever app correctly. And it was a team exercise, and the videos that the kids put together, they were just fantastic. But you could immediately spot that, oh, this kid just did not put it in the right order, the seasons and the change of the leaves. And so I think it does leaves space for creativity, but a different space. And you have to find the way to motivate the kids and guide them which apps to use and how to use them.
Lesson design is what I work with every day. And I think that what I would like to use regarding this example is have teachers make a lesson plan using AR, and then the important part is the process of talking about it. Why did AI choose this? What would I choose? You know, the reasoning is really the creativity, I think. So perhaps if I was still a teacher, I would get kids to write an assignment using AI and write it in 2 different ways and bring it in and then compare it. I think that's how I would start anyway. I mean, if we're talking concrete now, instead of just giving them an assignment traditionally, do this at home, give it to me, I'll correct it and grade it, because that's not going to work anymore. Any reactions? What's at the top of your mind, Gabor?
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for this presentation. I really would like to have all the whole presentation. There are many things what I didn't know. One, and second one, I really would like to highlight two things. One is the equity, how AI is going to affect equity, and what can we do as adults, as educators, as, let's say, decision makers in our own terms, to make this great tool to make the educational system more equitable. As we could see during the COVID, which was something unpredicted, that it created a situation that those who were in better schools, they gain more than those who were not. So the gap between good and bad schools and talented or not talented children, it's even became bigger. And the second one, what you said, that what to do with the time, what we gain. It's really hard to imagine that we can make our children, even our own children, to read an extra book if they learn how to use the ChatGPT to summarize a chapter or a whole book for them. But for me, there is a even bigger question. With this extra time we gain, can we use it in a way to make better people or better humans out of our children? Because the time will come extremely soon that all the knowledge what we have been teaching in schools for the past 150 years will become not useless, but the way how we teach doesn't make a sense any longer. Why to teach children for something for years what they can check and learn and do and solve using their own mobile phone in 30 seconds? Just a stupid example what I keep on telling. I'm sure that you remember the Me Too whatever. What was it?
Yeah.
Yep. And we told many things to our sons what not to do to a child, to a girl. But none of us have taught to teach them what to do if they want to make a contact with a girl. And it's the same logic. Okay, now we will teach them how not use AI, but do we know what to use in a wise way? What to use the extra time we will have in a smart way? Do we know how to create circumstances what they can learn how to use, practice how to use, and really use in the real time AI? I'm really concerned about this.
Thank you, Gabor. Those are very interesting points, and unfortunately, we don't know, do we? I mean, we have to live with, you know, the fact that we don't know. Thomas, you had your hand up.
Thank you, and thank you for the presentation, Vivien. 4 things came to my mind, 3 first, and then to Gabor's ideas, 1 extra. I mean, first, the question of yes, Vivien, I agree that things are happening really fast, and it's somehow unavoidable. This will happen, and if we think of a parallel happening, the use of libraries and the appearance of Google, it speeded up a lot. And why to spend long hours in the library looking for information when you can get it right away? The question of cheating, that is very interesting. I think it is much more important the time gained. I mean, how to spend it to be able to create something, to be able to be creative, or that is something valuable and ethical, obviously. And this again reminded me of teacher training and the importance of teacher training. What is our role in modern education? What is knowledge? And the question of knowledge versus social interactions, and the lack of practical knowledge. I can add to Gabor's thoughts that we're still dealing with theoretical knowledge, and we are lacking practical knowledge. But for example, if I'm thinking of Ildiko's lessons in chemistry, I mean, it is one thing to show children the hazards in life on a video, and it's a completely different thing to present it in a practical way, and they can try those experiments and to see the hazards in everyday life. I mean, we don't need theoretical chemistry. What we need is to teach children what not to drink and what not to touch in a household, for example, and that is chemistry again. Just a last thought here. During the time of COVID, we had the luck because we used for teaching English a sort of AI-based software, which is pretty expensive, and it was even more expensive in those times, obviously, because of market reasons. And I have a friend who has a publishing house, and they created this ELT skills, and it was very good because we had to classify our children first. That was the first step, to rank them into grades by their knowledge, not necessarily by which class they were enrolled in school. Funnily enough, my colleagues did it exactly. The software accepted the classification after 1 week, 2 weeks, and so on. But what was interesting was that it started, after a time, it started classifying some students who started to learn quicker than their fellow students. And when in a normal classroom, you're not able to pick children and put them into other groups, I don't know, monthly, this software could do it and could give extra homework for certain students and could lead them to other vocabulary, to turn them into other directions of language. It's a really interesting experience for teachers as well. Thank you.
But I have to raise a question about that, because that's one of the things that I wrote down here. I think there's a great asset when it comes to equity and inclusion. However, when the emphasis is on personalized learning and personalized teaching, is there a risk that we're going to resort to students or children learning by themselves in different parts of the room and not coming together for that very valuable learning when you learn together? Very often here, at least, when we have children who need support, a lot of teachers and principals will feel that that's someone else's responsibility. This is too hard to do in the classroom. Is there a risk that this is going to be yet another someone else for those who are most vulnerable? That's my question. Helen, what do you say?
Well, I've got a couple of comments. One of them is about the equity and the access to equipment, because what we saw in the Netherlands, to add to somebody's comment, was it Gabor, during the COVID times, that the difference between children that had access to computers, to tablets, to mobile phones, and those that didn't, meant that the difference between rich and poor also increased. And what we saw was that children from a lower socioeconomic situation, where there was maybe only one laptop in the house and both parents were trying to work and children were working, that the access was limited, and that those children actually developed a bigger discrepancy between their peers because of the access. So I think that is something that has to be addressed. Is you can't. It's not fair to have half the class having access and doing very personalized learning and extra online situations if you've got other children that can't. And the other thing that's being raised here in the Netherlands is about screen time, and how much children should have access to screen time, and what are the long-term psychological effects and neurological effects on children who are spending a lot of time on screens. And I'm currently working in a Steiner-based school, and we have no screens at all. So the children have no access in school to ICT at all. The teachers do not use any digital platforms at all. And there is a move amongst some Dutch schools as well to cut mobile phones. Mobile phones are not allowed in the schools. And whereas I was pleading for the fact that children could take photographs of the class work on the whiteboard so they get home and they'd have an example in front of them, mobile phones are being banned in more and more Dutch schools. And so I have all sorts of questions about how we're going to do this as a professional body, because there are just so many views. And there are medical views and neurological views and so on coming. So I agree with Vivien that we can't put the clock back, and we're not going to stop this. But how do we work with this so that the equity is there?
I think Gabor had a very interesting question. Can we teach them what to do with AI and not what to do? I mean, and not what not to do. Because when we take the mobiles away, we are teaching them, you shouldn't use this is dangerous for you, and this is disrupting in the classroom, etc., etc. And yeah, so I think that's a very interesting perspective. What do you say, Tamas? Or Ildiko? You're both welcome, of course.
I couldn't agree more. Both Gabor and Helen. I've been fighting for 5 years now in Hungary, still without a result, to introduce a new lesson, as you like, in schools, life management. Because we should focus on social interactions that are getting behind, and parallel to this, we cannot stop the clock of history. Thanks.
Can I, before I let Gabor in, there is a movement here talking about, well, where did I read that? Suddenly I don't remember, but there is a movement on teaching more about well-being and about handling stress and about, you know, being aware of your feelings and how they affect you in life, etc. Is that sort of the thing?
It's the Danish model, isn't it?
I think there is a Danish model, and there are some municipalities in Sweden that are sort of working with that as well. Yeah. It's
the life conscious and being aware of your feelings and your well-being. Yeah.
We actually had that when I started work 30 years ago. We had that as a subject that students could choose in high school. So we had teachers who were teaching life skills. And that was very interesting, but that was taken away. So before I let you in, Gabor, is this something that you see, Tamas, as you said, what is knowledge, that we need to talk about that? Is this the type of knowledge that you are seeing as something that we should prioritize in the future?
I think this comes from my childhood, because I could live in two systems, the socialist communist era and now the so-called democratic. One of the biggest differences is the relationships between people. And I think that in the old times, people had more chances and more tools, and they didn't live such an individualist life as today. This is why we introduced the so-called talking circle every morning with the children, 20 minutes with the class teacher. This is how we start the day. We are trying to make possibilities for children to interact, to be able to socially interact with each other, to be able to create things together. We give them tasks which cannot be carried out alone, only together with at least 1 or 2, 3 fellow students, because I think that we should consciously create possibilities like this, because, and parallel to this, yes, technology is taking over, but we have to be conscious to fly together with technology somehow, and keep our humane part and socially aware part.
And couldn't AI, perhaps Gabor, you can answer this, couldn't AI teach kids who are vulnerable in social interactions? Couldn't they play a part in teaching kids what to say, what to do, to practice social interactions? I'm thinking of, for instance, children with autism spectrum disorder, that we know that if they train, they can actually learn more of that. So that's an interesting thing, I think. Gabor.
Now, unfortunately, I'm not an expert on SNE children, but I believe that AI practically can solve all the problems what we can precisely articulate towards it.
Okay.
One. And the second one, it's yeah, and that's why my colleagues keep on telling me that sooner or later we are not going to need so many programmers and coders, but linguists.
Yeah.
Or a new job type, which is somewhere in between a programmer and the linguist, to be able to formulate or task and formulate or needs towards AI, who later can solve it. Yeah, but I would go back what Helen said, to ban mobile phones in the school. I believe that it's a wrong direction. Because these children, they do have the mobile. They do use 22 hours a day, practically, and practically for whatever reason, really whatever reason. But I have never seen a school which teaches responsible mobile using, or the use of mobiles for anything else but Facebook. You know, so we have all the mobiles, everyone has one, which is a great tool for 1 million different reasons. But we have been using all these mobile phones for 10, 30 different reasons and no more. And we have never really used the possibility to teach our children in the school, within a school setting, to use in a smart way. This is problem number one for me. And second one, when we say in schools that you cannot use, it means that those tools, what the children have anyway, we just simply ban instead of use during the lessons. So that's why when in September, when we start to teach again in Induction Hub, we really would like to have all the children to use their either their mobile phones or the tablets they have on regular basis, to give feedback, to make questionnaires, to use in a artistic way or whatever, but definitely to use for more reason than Facebook and TikTok and whatever. Bless you, Gabriel.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gabor. I think that's very important. There is a school in London that changed the results of the students' learning by having them use iPods back in the day. And so they had access, and this was in a socioeconomically challenged area. And they use it because they taught them responsible use. I don't know how things have progressed from then there, but very interesting to change it around. And that's really what inclusion is about, is my thinking. We need to see what can be done, not what cannot be done. So, Jonathan.
So basically, I agree with what is being said, of course. However, my issue when it comes to Malta is this particular that I'm going to mention. Unfortunately, Malta, nothing changes here. What happens is, and I'm not being negative, I'm being realistic here. What happens is we just add something else to the system. So instead of saying, listen, now it's not the time, I'm going to say something which, it's not the time to read books. Now it's time to use AI. No, what we keep the books and we add the AI. Then in a couple of years, we invent something else and we add it as well to the AI, you know? And I think as well, we are still not understanding our students. That is what hurting me more, because I am thinking, I think that the teacher is just going in the classroom, she or he, they do not even bother to understand the students, and they just deliver their lesson and get out of the class. Okay, so unless we change our system, and here I'm speaking about Malta, we can have AI, but it will be another tool which we can either use or not. That is what I think can happen. I hope not. I hope I'm wrong.
Are you talking about, Jonathan, if you say changing the system, and then you talked about the traditional way of teaching, you come in there, you check if everybody's there, then you deliver the instructions and everybody starts working, and then the lesson ends. That's the traditional type of lesson.
Basically, if just to give you an idea, is so here in Malta we have got an institution which is called MCAST. You can start MCAST going after the post-secondary without having any exams. You know, you just can come and sit there and finish as a masterate as well there. And we're still running around about exams, O-levels, certificates. When at the end of the day, we do not need this. You know, all we need is we need to understand the students, and I think change the whole system, because what I'm seeing, it's not working for sure. At least not everyone. Some are working, some are not.
I would call that, and I think this is what we see across the globe, I would call that the transmission model in teaching, where you think that as long as I've told them, like output immediately creates input, which it doesn't. So if we don't change the understanding that the transmission model doesn't work, then AI might just be, you know, icing on the cake, we think, or coriander on the rotten fish. Sorry for that weird metaphor. Tamas, what do you want to say?
So I just wanted to say goodbye. I have to leave earlier than I thought originally. Thank you for this very important discussion. See you soon.
See you.
Ciao.
Take care. Now, I just wanted to say that I agreed with Jonathan that we have to want to understand our children and our students. You know, the funny discussion between two teachers, like A goes up to B and, hey, what do you teach? Well, I teach English. Oh, do you? I teach children. So it's the approach. And I just had a funny story the other day. A mom came up to me for help. The thing was that they took their child pretty strict at home, and the mobile use was limited very, very much. And they took away in the evening. They took away the mobile from the child and so on. And the problem of the mother, by the time she ended up at my desk, was that the child got a second life, basically, because he got a second mobile, same model than the one confiscated every day by his parents. So he created a second life, fully uncontrolled by his parents, because obviously they didn't know he had that second mobile until they finally found it out. So it has its own dangers if we, I mean, these strict regulations mean a serious trap, or can mean a serious trap.
Or create creativity. That's very
Oh
creative.
yeah, yeah, and survival. Yes.
Sorry, Helen, you wrote something there. Could you elaborate on that?
Well, I was just agreeing with Jonathan, really, that we have a tendency in education to look at the new innovative changes and then add those in. And if you're thinking about adding AI somehow into the curriculum, then you're adding something else in. So it is about a rethink of, so how do students learn? What do they need to learn? What does the learning environment look like? What can be assisted by AI and what can't, so that we make sure that what can't is still done by the humans. But change, well, here in the Netherlands and I guess in some other places as well, is so bureaucratic and takes so long that these advances are rushing ahead and developing, and we're seeing them develop in public life and so on, but that education is just slow to respond. If we have not yet got policies in place and practice in place to help students learn the use of mobile phones, and how long have we had those, then just thinking in terms of the time that that passes before education responds. We need more people like Vivien working at policy level and at government level, if we're really going to effect change within a reasonable time frame, I think.
That's very true. I can just tell you that in Sweden, the only thing that happened here 2 years ago is that it's now in the law that the teacher has the right to confiscate a mobile phone. So that was the innovative visionary.
But in terms here, we brought in a law about integrating children with learning differences and disabilities into the Netherlands, and the response to that was, we will need a generation of teachers. We can train new teachers who are thinking differently, but until the old teachers have retired, or those teachers are no longer managers, because what happens is they come out of the classroom and become managers, until they've gone and our newly trained teachers are in place, we're not going to see a lot of change, which, you know, is a 40-year process. Well, by then the world will look completely different. As Vivien's saying, in 40 days it may look completely different, and certainly in 40 weeks. So I don't want to be pessimistic about it, but I'm not sure how education is going to respond, and where our part in that is in being effective.
And it's a glum view of teachers.
Yeah, I know,
Like
but
us, isn't it? We've
it's
been
not
there
just
for a long
those of
time.
us here. It's just not those of us here. It's also those teachers who are just going into the classroom, delivering their lesson, and then going home and having a glass of wine and not thinking about education till the following morning, 5 minutes before the first lesson starts.
I keep coming back to the difference between teachers who are transmitting knowledge and information and the teachers who are more relational and who want to interact with the students. There's a huge difference. You can see that in the classroom, and it comes out in the results.
Vivien, how do you see this developing in the darker areas of education, rather than in the areas of innovation and people who are motivated and excited? How do you see this trickling down into you know, your regular village school somewhere in a country within Europe?
Or outside of Europe? Well, or what you all said. I mean, there is a very basic precondition, which is an equity issue, is the access to the digital devices and to meaningful internet connection. That's number one. That's precondition number one, and all the rest that you discussed afterwards, and teachers' attitudes, whether they are relational or just transmitting their supposed knowledge, it's the next phase. It really varies. I wouldn't even say country by country. It varies teacher by teacher, person by person. This is, I feel that this is a revolution, or this is a change that is led by the practitioners and not by the policymakers. The policymakers are lagging behind, and the practitioners they are in the front line, and they have to face the everyday situation and somehow find an appropriate answer to the circumstances, to the issues that are being raised. There is no good or bad solution, and I so much agree with what you said on the relational aspects and the human and on the human aspects and life skills. And that's why I also said that we as educators or we as policymakers, we have to keep that as a priority, to first teach kids how to be responsible and good people, as Gabor said. The values the AI is learning from us. So we have to input a good value system into the system. And how we are doing it, maybe it differs in Hungary at the Diák Általános Iskola. Maybe it's going to be different in NSR. We don't know. It's really we have to find our way. But it's also true that the inequality gap is growing. It's growing between countries, between regions, between schools, and between students. And so for those who are concerned about equity and inclusion, there's even more to do in the future, but there are no answers. We have to find the answers, and they might not be the answers in 2 days or the next week.
I would like to highlight something that you said. You said the AI is learning from us. And that's something to bear in mind. So we need to teach our children well, so that AI develops in a manner that we would like.
Yes, but AI is receiving data also from other people who are maybe not
I know
sharing the same value system as we. So the AI already, yes, it's we don't know what's going to happen in the next 1 or 2 years.
So AI could make or break democracy?
Yeah, it can end the world. There are different scenarios. No, there are.
Yeah, I know. People are scared of that. I know that. I know, Jonathan, that you had your hand up, but I'm going to go to Tamas first, because you raised your hand while Vivien was saying something. So I thought maybe you had something that you reacted.
I would just underline again the training of teachers, because the young generation is always 5 steps ahead of us. And I don't believe in hiding our mistakes. Some are even funny. I can tell you a story about Elf Bar. Elf Bar is banned in Hungary, and well, in schools, no question.
Sorry, what is that?
Elf Bar is a kind of new model. I can show it to you because I confiscated one. While I'm looking for it, I don't know where it is. Well, anyway.
Is it a toy?
It's a kind of, it's a kind of, just a second.
Do the rest of you know what this is?
Do you? Everyone? Okay. You don't?
We confiscated it well.
I don't know
what is it in Hungarian?
Elf Bar. It's called Elf Bar. It's a kind of new type of cigarette, which is aroma-based, whatever.
The electronic.
A vape cigarette.
It's a sort of, yes. And it cannot be recharged. And it has a sort of flavor. And it's an aromatic thing, like it has orange and I don't know, strawberry, and so anyway, I can't find it now. And before we got aware of what Elf Bar was, one of my deputies and another colleague were walking on the corridor of the school during lessons. So it was only them on the corridor. And one of them says, "Oh, look, someone's left a marker on the floor." And she put it in the window, hoping that the owner will find his or her cigarette because she didn't know what it was. So this is why I would go back to teacher training, that these guys are always much ahead of us. And we cannot help them if we don't know what we're talking about or what we're dealing with. Thank you, Vivien.
And that means talking with the students, right? And not so much about them.
Yes.
We're running out of time, but I really would like to hear from Jonathan. You had your hand up, so you wanted to say something.
Yes, basically all I wanted to give is another experience which I had during these last couple of months. I had a teacher where she was teaching according to her English. And what I'm trying to do at school is I'm trying to have the teachers not being compartmentalized in I teach English, I teach maths, I teach. Basically, I'm trying to tell the teachers, we are their teachers, we have got children in front of us, and we have to help them out for a better life. And then she kept on telling me, I teach English and no other subjects. I told her, okay, give me a random sample of a comprehension text you've used. And she gave me one where she had a text about water, ice, and steam. And at that time, I told her, okay, so you're saying you're teaching only English. She told me, yes. I told her, you're fooling yourself. I told her, there you're teaching English, you're teaching science, you're teaching a lot of things. I told her, so please, let's not keep on saying that we are English teachers or maths teachers. So that's the situation which we have in Malta, you know? Okay, I'm not saying everyone is like this, all right? But that's part of the situation that we have.
Thank you.
Everyone froze at the moment. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. We're back, I think.
I found the elf bar. This is what it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like an inhaler.
Yeah, actually, I saw this in Malta, selling them free at the place where we were having lunch, and we were surprised to see, like, look, on Malta it's not banned, and in Hungary, if the police catches you, you get quite a high penalty because of some tax. I don't know, because you can get them on the internet. It's a tax question.
Gabriel, any thoughts on how this will change your work at EACEA support?
Well, hopefully, as I said in the beginning, AI will help to change how things work, mostly when it comes to automation of services, even when, for example, it comes to dealing with schemes, applications, administration of items, some things could be changed towards AI. I also agree with what Jonathan said. I was also previously a teacher, and due to their workload, and we understand that teachers have quite a huge workload nowadays. It's not easy dealing with 25 children, and 25 children in your classroom with different needs, with different requirements. It's a challenge in itself. So one would understand that teachers are a bit hesitant to teach different items, but these children, even when it comes to agency support, try and see us as people who are there to change, to implement the change, to envisage this even when it comes to artificial intelligence. When it comes to artificial intelligence, we are there to try as much as possible push artificial intelligence into the classroom, and for our students to understand that it's quite difficult. And also when it comes to obviously our executives and also to teachers. But we hope that we utilize this new resource. It's a resource. Artificial intelligence is a resource, and we exploit its benefits rather than see just its repercussions or negative side effects to it.
I think that's a wonderful final statement, because it's now 6:30, And we are there to change. You are at your organization, but we're all here to change. And AI can help us do this. It's a new resource for us to explore. I think that's wonderful. We have a document. We have a recording of this meeting. Thank you so much, Vivien, for delivering all that information and providing that slideshow. So this is going to be part of our content generation. I'm not sure that we can, would you be comfortable publishing this for everyone to see? I mean, for people outside of our group to see, or, yeah? You can think about it before we do it, but I think this is a really interesting discussion that other people might find interesting to follow and get ideas from. It's time to call it a night, to close the shop and go home and have that glass of wine perhaps before the next day, or maybe a cup of tea. That's quite as good. Thank you so much for joining. Speak to you again. Bye.
Take care, everyone. It's good to see you.
Good
Thank
to
you.
see you too.
Take care.
Bye, guys.